government puts a lot of focus on their military technology, which is causing the nation to have difficulties peacefully opening up to the rest of the world. As a result, they are not able to adapt to a globalized society. The growth and strength of the North Korean army is alarming. However, the nation is not the most advanced in military technology. But the nation is well aware of this, and they are becoming more dangerous every day. North Korea has the fourth largest standing army in the world and one of the largest biological and chemical arsenals. Yet, despite these alarming statistics, the reality is the country is not capable of maintaining a state of war for a long time because the nation doesn't have enough supplies for war. The nation's leader, Kim Jong-un, refuses to open the country up to the rest of the world and implement the latest useful technology, including some of the latest military advances. As a result, the nation is behind and they are therefore unable to consolidate themselves internationally. The government spends $8.21 billion on military, which is 22% of their nation's GDP. But even though the government spends so much money on their military, they know that their military technology isn't up to date. And as a result, they are creating nuclear and chemical weapons. And they often test their new weapons, and they threaten South Korea to use their weapons on them to demonstrate their growing power. And because of this, their relations with South Korea are bad. Their relationships with other countries are also being ruined because they see North Korea as a threat and as an enemy. And because of this, they are unable to open themselves up internationally. Another reason for this inability to adapt is the government's refusal to open up the country to the rest of the world and implement the latest technology. The number of internet users per 100 people in North Korea is less than 0.1. Since everyone is so restricted in their use of technology, the nation is unable to open themselves up to the rest of the world, and they are unable to incorporate themselves into the global society. But overall, the primary reason why North Korea is unable to adapt to globalization is because of their government's alarming development of their military, which has destroyed relationships with other nations.
The problem that all these advances have is that North Korea is now starting to threaten other countries with this power that they have. One of these threats is that they broke a treaty with the U.S. about their uranium enrichment program. This helped them develop weapons of mass destruction. The problem this has is that they put them on bad standing terms with the U.S. North Korea now has the ability to send these weapons to other terrorist nations or rogue nations, and this puts them in very bad standing terms with other countries that would be affected by these nations. Another threat that they've made is that they've been claimed to keep South Korean and Japanese prisoners since the 1970s. They keep them in these political prisoner camps. This is bad because it shows that they're a very untrustworthy country. One attack they've made directly towards the U.S. is that they've accused the Obama administration of being responsible for the plot in the movie The Interview. One domestic thing that the country's done is they put their country through a large famine. This was because a large majority of the food went to the military instead of the people. And this is because North Korea needs this strong military because of these actions they've made to threaten other countries.
Technological advances in North Korea's military have not only affected the country's foreign relations, but have been the biggest factor in determining their enemies and allies. North Korea's position as an unpredictable military powerhouse is intimidating and has worried and attracted different world powers in different ways. In all cases, North Korea's military advances have caught the eye of the world, and everyone is watching to see what they'll do. The first country with a close but tense relationship with North Korea is its capitalist sister, South Korea. After the North Korean Communist Party took over the government, South Korea and North Korea split during the Korean War. And since then, the relationship has been strained at best and hostile at worst. Since then, tensions have been high. This chance was lost, however, when North Korea's nuclear and military capabilities were revealed. Because South and North Korea are so geographically close, a nuclear bomb is a real and evident threat to South Korea and its citizens. So the South's reluctance to continue peace talks with the North stems from their military capabilities. So if the North had not made these military threats, there wouldn't be these struggled and tense relationships. The next country that has a strained relationship with North Korea is the U.S. The U.S. believed and wanted to enforce that North Korea get punished for their nuclear tests, and due to this belief, North Korea saw the U.S. as a threat and proceeded to threaten them with nuclear attacks, which was kind of like a chain reaction. To control these tensions, the U.S. provided aid and other benefits in exchange for the ending of the nuclear war program in North Korea. There have been steps to end it, but it hasn't ended yet. The U.S.'s intervention on an unexpected expenditure proved the extremity and the reality of the North Korean military threat. North Korea is further isolating itself from the world as a major world power. The U.S. has far more allies in quantity and in status than North Korea does. And by threatening the U.S., the North is alienating the allies of the U.S. as well. The U.S. is such a huge and powerful country in the globalized technology scene that it's seen as a foe, or at very least not an ally. This is a factor driving North Korea away from the world of globalized technology. The U.S.'s reactions to North Korean violence and threats has affected North Korea in that increasing their amount of military activity because they feel threatened. This increase can be accounted to the U.S. reaction to North Korea because the North still feels threatened by such a powerful country and they are consequently protecting it. Finally, many other countries have voiced an opposition to the Korean nuclear threat. Another country to voice opposition to North Korea's nuclear practices is one of its long-standing allies, China. North Korea has lost many of its amicable ties that it had with China after their nuclear tests in April 2009. Since late 2008, China has not just been the largest, but also the most dominant provider of aid and partner for North Korea. However, because of these missile tests, North Korea and China have been on not so great terms, and China has been forced to take a stand against North Korea. Even though China continually supports North Korea economically, their goals have been straying from one another. China's change in alliances further proves that the North's military capabilities are dangerous and need to be stopped. China, the U.S., and India's intimidation is one of the causes of the military violence that has caused North Korea's forced isolation from the rest of the world. But the broken foreign ties have had less effect on North Korea than the military itself. Without the original violence in North Korea, ties with foreign nations would not have become strenuous or hostile in the first place. However, the North's continued violence has caused hostile ties with foreign countries, expanding the rifts between North Korea and the rest of the world until the damage became almost irreparable. Without military technology, this isolation would have happened to a much lesser extent. The government's official status on foreign policy is different from what is actually practiced, however. Pyongyang's stance on foreign affairs has presented itself in many half-hearted attempts at military democracy. However, the military threats have definitely overshadowed those and caused global reactions, which in turn has caused the isolation of North Korea. Even previous allies of North Korea, like China and Russia, are hesitant to resume economic ties because of these military threats. And despite the efforts of high-ranking officials in Pyongyang, the military threats of North Korea's recent past will continue to overshadow the little political control that they have over the country. The government's repeated, albeit possibly insincere, attempts to open up to the modernized world have been met with little to no success because of their heavy past involvement in sporadic and dangerous military tactics. This proves the extent of the impact of North Korea's military technology on its ability to adapt to a globalized world. Even one of North Korea's most recognizable facets, its communist government, has little to no control over its relations with other countries because of this military threat. Their ties with other countries have been all but entirely cut off because of past misuse of military technology, and the all-powerful communist government is at a loss.
In conclusion, North Korea's manpower and their nuclear technology has had a massive impact on their ability to adapt to a world of globalization and harmony achieved through technology. Advances in military technology, particularly in the areas of nuclear and ballistic missiles, have led to an almost uncontrollable amount of chaos for North Korea and its neighbors. Making the world see the danger in North Korea's technology is key to helping the world eliminate the country's nuclear threat. Without the help or the force of countries that were once or are allies with North Korea, attempts to forcefully retire their military technology units would be futile. Luckily, large powers like the U.S., Russia, and China and more are discussing peaceful retirement of these sectors. However, if North Korea strays from the path of peaceful non-nuclear war causing negotiations, forceful tactics could result in catastrophe for many.